Welcome to teaching learning session of sociology. In today's lecture, in urban sociology, we'll discuss about urbanization and urbanism, and then eventually we'll move to city. What is urbanization and what is urbanism? In my last lecture, I told you what is urbanization. Urbanization is a shift of population from rural to urban areas. When the population shifts from rural to urban areas, that is urbanization. This urbanization can be characterized by an inflow of population to the urban center, making them more dense populated than other areas. Because of influx of the population from rural areas to urban areas, these urban areas become more densely populated. In most of the cases, the boundaries of urban divided are in the continuum. It is in the continuum. Continuum means that we may not define or find a well demarcated boundaries between the urban and the rural space. There is no well defined boundaries between the rural and the urban space, then it is known as rural urban continuum. Our movement of population or influx of population from rural area to urban area is known as urbanization. At times it happens that it is not we cannot demarcate the boundaries of urban and rural areas, then it is known as rural urban continuum. In big cities it happens, like in Delhi, Mumbai, it is difficult to demarcate the boundaries between the cities, urban areas and the adjacent rural areas. It can be distinguished by the change in concentration of people, houses, commercial buildings, and transport facilities as we travel from one region to another. We cannot demarcate, we cannot well define the boundaries at times between the rural and urban areas, but we can differentiate, we can distinguish by them through the transportation facilities. The transportation facilities in urban area will differ from the transportation facilities in the rural areas, from the structural commercial buildings, from the houses we can distinguish the boundaries between rural areas and the urban areas. The distinct characteristic of urban is that majority of population will be employed in non-agricultural sector with respect to rural areas. The one main distinction between the urban population and rural population is that majority of urban population is engaged or will be employed in non-agricultural task or agricultural sector, while in rural areas the majority of population will be engaged in agricultural tasks. As population in the urban space continue to grow, large scale urbanization happens, thus causing a phenomenon called urban sprawl. What is urban sprawl? When the population in the urban space continues to grow, large urbanization happens. Because of influx of the population from the adjoining rural areas or from distinct rural areas, this urban spaces continue to grow and large scale urbanization happens. And this growth of urban area or large scale urbanization is known as urban sprawl. The urban population disperses over a large geographical areas, leading to development of suburbs in the outskirts of urban center because of larger influx of the population, right? Than that the geographical areas of the urban spaces increases, and these leads to the development of suburbs, and these suburbs developed in the outskirts of the urban areas. This triggers the onset of new residential spaces, roads, transport facilities, and commercial activities in the suburbs, resulting in geographical expansion of urban spaces. Because of the larger influx of the population in the urban areas, the geographical area, this urban spaces, the suburbs developed around the urban spaces, and because of the development of these suburbs, this triggers the development of transportation facilities, roads, right, and residential spaces. And because of all these activities, because of all these things, this results in the expansion, geographical expansions of the cities or the urban areas. Because of the development of a suburbs, the urban areas increases, the geographical area of urban spaces increases, and this is known as urban sprawls. There are push and pull factors of the urbanization. There are various factors which pushes or which urges the people to move out of their native places. Factors like lack of job opportunities in their native places, lack of economic activities, a hostile environment, natural disasters like drought, poverty, hunger. All these are the push factors. They forces the people to move out from their native places, native rural spaces, and the desire to have a comfortable life motivates them to move to urban spaces where they can enjoy avenue of growth and prosperity. There are pull factors, and these pull factors attract the population to relocate to the urban spaces. There are the push factor which forces the population to move out from their rural native places, but the pull factor attracts the people or attracts the population to relocate to the urban spaces, like economic growth, political activities, social environment. All these are more appealing to the public than their native places. In urban spaces, there are more job opportunities, more economic activities. All these things attract the rural people or all these things appeal to the public than their native places. Urbanism and acculturation. So, what is urbanization? Influx of population from rural to the urban area is urbanization. Okay, movement of population from rural areas, from their rural native places to the urban places is known as urbanization. What is urbanism and what is acculturation? Urbanism. If urbanization is the process by which urban area develops, urbanism is the state of being. It encapsulates all physical and social interaction that we witness in urban areas. Urbanism is physical and social interaction. Urbanism gives an in-depth understanding the way of life that are characteristics of city. So what is urbanism? Understanding of the way of life that are the characteristics of a city, how people live in the city. That is urbanism. Culture of the city. Acculturation. Acculturation can be defined as adoption of culture of outside trait. That is acculturation. When we adopt the traits of other culture, that is acculturation. Challenges of urbanization. Urban areas are densely inhabited because of large influx of the population. So it is densely populated. Compact area with people from various backgrounds. The people from the various backgrounds move to the urban areas. So the population of urban areas is heterogeneous, and this population is densely inhabited. Though it facilitates avenue for the growth and prosperity, the process of urbanization has its challenges, like increase in demand for the resources available in the region. Because of larger population, the demand for the resources increases. People compete for those resources because resources are not ample for the population, like air, water, job opportunities, residential spaces, public spaces or public services, and transport and healthcare facilities. There is a limit of all these resources, like healthcare facilities. Although resources are there, these healthcare facilities are better in urban areas rather than the rural areas, but still there is a limit of all these resources. So this healthcare facilities, transport facilities, public transportation, residential areas, job opportunities, and water problems, or land, geographical area, all these resources uh, um, creates a problem. All these resources are not are not present in the ample amount. They can support a limited population, but when population is more than the resources available, then the people compete for these resources in the urban areas. The process of urbanization is organic, unplanned, and gradual. It can also be disorganized and chaotic, putting an onus on the administration to cater to the needs of the ever growing cities in sustainable manner. The development of all these areas of the all these urban areas is actually unplanned, and this influx of the population or this urbanization urbanization puts uh, pressurize the administration to cater the needs of ever growing cities, and for administration it is not possible to cater the needs of the cities, to cater the needs of a larger population because of limited resources. The failure of government to meet demands of rapid urbanization can increase the issue. It can result in poverty, illegal constructions, mushrooming of slums, improper waste disposal, and increased pollution in the cities, deteriorating the health of the population. Because of this urbanization and because of the limited resources, this leads to poverty, illegal constructions, mushrooming of slums. The slums develop with improper waste disposal, and all these leads to deterioration in the health of population. It impacts the health of the population. If there are the advantage of the urban area, like because of economic growth, uh, job opportunities are more in urban areas, political activities are concentrated mainly in the urban areas. There are disadvantages of this urbanization. It leads to poverty, hunger, mushrooming of slums, problem in disposing the waste. It impacts the health of the people living in the urban areas. It leads to illegal constructions, pollution. Urban studies in India. The beginning of the urban studies in India is connected to the efforts of the administrators and town planners in resolving the issue that plagued in the cities of British India. In India, the urban studies started in the era of Britishers. Patrick Geddes was the first one who studied the Indian urban society. Geddes criticized the administration for, among other things, according to Geddes, administration is responsible for the problem in urban areas or is responsible for urbanization problem because of the careless city planning of the administrators, poor sanitation, inhuman slums, lack of administrative measure to control the spread of communicable diseases, inadequate sewage system, failure to preserve people's cultural value. For all these things, he held administration responsible. According to Geddes, administration is responsible for the problems associated with the Indian urbanization. Problems like development of slums, poor sanitations, spread of communicable diseases. Administration has not taken any control measure to control the communication problems. They have not properly developed the sewage system. His recommendation for urban development were based on the ethos of fog planning rather than the place planning. This drew attention to the sociological and human aspect of city development that called for a comprehensive planning strategy. The Indian urban studies saw a new wave of recognition in 1950s when the scholars like Gure, A.R. Desai, S.S. Jha, N. Venkatarappa, K.M. Kapadia took interest in urban problems. They analyzed the structural changes in Indian society's post urbanization. These scholars analyzed the changes in Indian societies post urbanizational, the structural changes in the Indian society in post urbanization. Their work covered a wide range of topics, including the change in the kinship bonds. Because of urbanization, there is a change in kinship bonds. How it impacted the kinship system in India. Nuclearization of the family. Urbanization is responsible for the breakdown of the joint families in India. So they studied about the nuclearization of the families because of urbanization. Participation of women in labor market, changing gender role in marriages, and growing inequality in urban centers. The influx of migrant laborers, mushrooming of slums. They studied about mushrooming of slums, breakdown of joint families, development and displacement, ghettoization, spatial segregation, population explosions in cities. Urbanization resulted in population explosions in cities. The population of cities increases multiple times, multiple folds because of this urbanization. And this leads to the spatial segregations. Diffusion of ideologies of individualism, dynamism, and liberalism. City. Before starting a new topic, city, let us summarize urbanization and urbanism and acculturation. What is urbanization? Urbanization is the influx of the population from the rural areas to urban areas. Why these people move from their native rural areas to the urban areas? There are push and pull factors. This movement of population from rural to urban area is known as urbanization. The push factors are those factors which compels the natives, rural natives, to move out from their places, like lack of job opportunities, like lack of healthcare facilities. All these forces, or like natural disasters, all these forces, all these factors are push factors. There are pull factors. Pull factors are those factors which attracts the rural population to urban areas, like economic activities, like political activities, healthcare facilities. All these are the pull factors. What is urbanism? Urbanism is the culture of the city life, how the way the people live in cities. That is urbanism. The adoption of the culture of cities. What is acculturation? That is adoption of the traits of other culture is acculturation. Suppose if someone moves out from the rural areas to the urban areas, that there is a difference in the transport facilities, there is difference in the economic activities. When people adopt the culture of the cities, then that is acculturation. The adoption of traits of other culture is acculturation. There are advantages and disadvantages of urbanization. Advantages like economic activities, job opportunities are more, healthcare facilities are better. But the disadvantages of urbanization is that because of the movement of the or influx of the population of the larger population to the urban areas, it leads to a development of the slums. The density of population increases in the urban areas. It leads to the development of the slums, poor sanitation problems. It impacts the healthcare facilities of the urban areas because these facilities can cater a limited population. So it impacts the healthcare facilities of the urban areas. It impacts the transportation facilities. Then various authors, sociologists like Kapadia, Ghure, Srinivas in 1950s studied about the urban areas. They studied about the impact of urbanization on kinship, Indian kinship, then the how it impacts the family life, the nuclearization of the families, breakdown of the joint families. Okay. Now cities. What is city? The city represent only a part of urban areas. Yes. Understand one thing. Normally people um, use city and urban areas. Uh, they interchange these words, cities and urban areas. No, city is just a part of an urban area. Urban stands for non-urban geographies like cities, towns, and suburbs. All these are the urban areas. Like, let us take an example of Mumbai. Mumbai, Mumbai, Mumbai covers a large geographical area now because of development of these suburbs. There are many places around Mumbai, and those areas are known as suburb and the urban areas. City, towns, suburbs, all these are the urban areas. City is only a part of an urban area. Don't use city and urban area interchangeable. These words are not in. You cannot use these words in place of another. City is a part of urban area. Urban area stands for all non-urban geographies like cities. City is an urban area. Suburb is an urban area. Town is an urban area. The word city originates from the Latin word civitas, meaning citizenship or belonging to a community. Cities are essentially large, large agglomeration of people. Cities are densely populated. The population of cities is more. It is densely populated. And this population of city is diverse and heterogeneous. This I told you. In fact, the population of urban area is heterogeneous. The population of city is heterogeneous because the people from the all around comes into the cities or the urban areas. So you will not find a homogeneous population in a city. People from Bengal, people from Bihar, people from Punjab, you will find all these people in a city who migrated from their states, from their native place to the city in search of a job or because of any other reason. So population is heterogeneous. An American historian and sociologist Louis Mumford defined the city as a venue that enables diverse groups to engage in economic organization that are based on some regulations and who are housed in permanent structure within a geographically limited area. So, according to Louis Mumford, city is a venue that has a limited geographical area and it engage the heterogeneous population or diverse group in an economic organization and it is based on the some regulation and this population is housed in permanent structure and that's too in a given geographical area, limited geographical area. Contrary to the rural region, where a limited number of people reside, cities are home to millions and more. The population in the rural area is less, while cities are densely populated. Some relationships are formed on the personal, intimate level. Social association formed in society are superficial and transitory. In cities, this is a characteristic of a city that the associations in the cities are superficial and transitory. It is based on the need or the mutual need of the people. Relationships are based on the needs. It is the relationships in the cities are superficial or the association are superficial and transitory. And some relationships are personal or intimate, but majority of relationships or associations are superficial or transitory. Density, as I told you that they are that the cities are densely populated. That density implies specialization and diversification, wherein the social relations are complex, characterized by segregation, formal rules of association, and reciprocity. In urban areas, relationships are complex, while in rural areas, relationships are very simple. Heterogeneity makes the social membership in the city dynamic and multiple. The social membership in the cities are dynamic. It is multiple. There is no rigid social structure in the cities. In cities, the identity of a person depends on his achievements rather than the ascribed qualities. It hardly matters from which caste you belong, whether you are from the affluent family or not. In cities, the identity of a person depends on an achieved qualities, not on ascribed qualities. Ascribed qualities or ascribed qualities are those which you get because of your family or which you inherit from your family. That is ascribed qualities. Like your caste, it is an ascribed quality. Achieved qualities or achievements are those which a person achieved because of his hard work, because of his intelligence. That is achieved qualities. So identity depends on the achievements, not on the ascribed qualities in the city. There is increased mobility, but also instability and insecurity. In cities, There is insecurity among the people and instability is there. The city enables one to be a member of different social group, even overlapping at a time. You can be a member of many social group, and at times these social group may overlap. There is no restriction on the membership. You can be a member of 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10 social groups. There are occupational associations, recreational association, political memberships based on ideologies, religious association based on faith, and so on. In cities, you can have occupational associations. If someone is doctor, may be associated with the group of doctors. One can be associated on the basis of recreational activities like games, interest in games. Then you can be a member of a particular group. Political membership, religious membership. Spatial configuration of cities. Every city, whether planned or unplanned, is structured on some functionalities that serve the region. Every city is structured, and the reason and the why every city is structured, planned or unplanned, they have some structure, and they are structured on functionalities to serve the needs of the region. One of the key component in any city is its market for the flow of goods and money. Market is very important because market is a place of economic growth. This place is responsible for the flow of goods and money. Market plays a critical role in occupation, residence, and economic status of city dwellers. Market plays a very important role in cities. A various model has been suggested related to development of the cities. One of these model is concentric zone model. What is concentric zone model? Concentric circle model, also known as Burgess model, and is one of the earliest theoretical explanation of pattern of city structure. This is one of the earliest theoretical explanation of pattern of city structure, how city will be structured. It describes about the structure of the cities. It is also known as the Burgess model because it has been developed by him. It was proposed by the sociologist Ernest Burgess and applied to the city of Chicago. And, and this urban sociology has its roots in Chicago. We discussed about the Chicago school in our last lecture. So this model was suggested by Ernest Burgess and he applied this to city of Chicago. He theorized that urban space can be categorized into concentric circles of different zones. According to this model, that a city can be developed in circles. The urban spaces can be categorized into concentric circles, these circles of different zones. The zone at the core is called the business district, central business district. At the core, at the beginning, at the core of these circles are CBD, Central Business District. And this Central Business District is hub of all economic activities. It is the densest zone with the high rate of commercial activities taking place. The market area, because market plays an important role in the cities. It is a center of all economic activities. So according to this model, according to the concentric zone model, at the core of the center, at the core of this is the CBD, Central Business District, and this is a hub of all economic activities. And this zone is highly or densely populated. The zone, this CBD, is well connected and at convergence of all transport network. All transport facilities, this CBD is well connected with the transport facilities. Anyone can commute. The next major zone is for the working class residents. The first major zone at the center is CBD, and this CBD is well connected with transport facilities. After this comes the another zone, and that is the zone for the working class residents. We need employees to carry out the economic activities. And then comes this next zone is the working class resident, so that people can commute easily to their workplace from their residence. This working place residence provides affordable housing and easy commute to working class population of the city. That's what I told you. This zone after CBD is working class zone, working class residence zone. Why it is there? Because so that working class can commute easily to CBD to their workplace, and this gives the affordable housing to working class. There is a transition zone between CBD and working class residence zone, which is a mix of both commercial and residential activities. The outer zone, called the residential zone, caters to the aspirations of city's middle class for comfortable living conditions. After working class zone comes the outer zone, and that zone is for the middle class families. This zone caters the aspirations of the middle class family, the comfortable life or the comfortable living conditions for the middle life, like home to a new development of residential spaces along with amenities such as park, gardens, and recreational centers. Right? Third zone is for middle class, outer zone. It is a residential zone for middle class. It fulfills the aspirations of middle class. It provides the residential spaces along with amenities like parks, like gardens, and recreational activities. The farthest zone from the hub is called the commuters zone, the periphery that is home to cities' high income group. The last or the farthest zone from CBD is the commuters zone. It is the home for cities' high income group. People of high income lives in this zone. The expenses of high commuting cost, the zone provides lands for independent and spacious residential homes. Because of ample of because of ample of land, you can make an independent houses or the spacious residence there. And because of their income, because they come in the high income group, they can bear the high commuting cost. If they have to go to CBD, that the Central Business District, they can commute from there. They can bear the cost of commuting. So, according to this model, they developed the cities in the form of concentric circle. The core of the city is the CBD, that is the Central Business District. After this comes the working class residents. Then comes the outer zone, and this outer zone is for middle class. And then the farthest zone from this CBD is for high income group, right? This is for the high income group, and this is the commuters zone. After this was the first model proposed for the structure of the cities, how cities are developed, and it is applied on the Chicago city. It is known as concentric zone model. It is developed, this is in the form of circles. First circle at the core is CBD, then working class, and middle class, and then the high income. Next model is sector model. In 1939, the economist Homer Hoyt proposed the sector model, also known as Hoyt model of spatial arrangement. Hoyt proposed sector model is known as Hoyt model of spatial arrangement. What is this model? He conceptualized that cities need not to develop as a ring or concentric circle, as suggested by Burgess. The core of intense economic activities remain the same in sector model as well. According to Hoyt, the city expands in sector depending on the travel linkage. Instead of developing the cities into circles or concentric zones, according to Hoyt, the city expands in sectors, and it depends on the travel linkage. The expansion of the industrial activities follow the road and rail rings. The economic zone is again well connected. There could be more transport facilities like road and rail links. Similar industrial hubs are attracted to same sector due to easy access to travel linkage. You can easily travel to the industrial sectors. The working class population make housing option next to the industrial sector. First is the industrial sector, and this sector is well linked. There is a good transport facilities. Then the next sector is the housing of the working class, right? Next to the industrial sector. High income group wants to set up their residence farthest from the busy commercial hubs. They are affluent groups looking for clean, quiet areas for investing in the large housing areas. Same, these high income groups, they want to live away from this industrial zone area. They look for the clean, quiet area, and they want a large house. So they set up their residence away from the busy commercial hubs. Hoyt model is significant for it considers the direction and distance of growth in each sector. This model considers the direction and distance. This model also takes into account the accessibility of travel link as critical parameter in the spatial arrangement of the city. In this model, transportation plays an important role. This travel link is a critical parameter. It is very important. This transport facilities plays an important role. Classification of the cities. Although it is difficult to classify the cities, but still there is a classification of a cities. Cities are classified into two categories: pre-industrial and industrial cities. Pre-industrial cities are those without sophisticated technological advancements and relied on animals and human labor as a dominant means of production. It means there is no development, and these cities relies no industrial development, and these cities relied on uh, animals and human labor as a dominant means of production. There is no technological advancement, and industrial societies have achieved technological advancements, scientific advancements, and relied on the modern means of energy resources such as nuclear power and fossil fuels. There is development in scientific and technological development. Then these are known as industrial cities or societies. Today, especially after globalization, where the most of the non-Western society are heading towards extensive urbanization, Stroberg's overgeneralized the categorization may prove to be obsolete. Although this he has categorized into pre and post, now this categorization is obsolete. A more comprehensive set of criteria for classifying modern cities are proposed by Gist and Hulbert, which are broadly classified into six. First is production centers. Rather than pre-industrial and post-industrial cities, that is pre-industrial cities and industrial cities, now Gist and Hulbert classified the cities into six, and first one is production centers. Industrialization has played an important role in emergence of early cities. The emergence of markets and a thriving center of production offered people opportunities for employment, nudging them to migrate to urban centers. So, production center can be further classified into primary and secondary based on whether they are engaged in supplying the raw material for production or manufacturing the final goods respectively. Production centers, right? Production centers like Bhilai, Jalandhar, all these are the production centers. Production, the first category is the production center where the business or economic activities happens, and they played an emergence role. They provide the opportunities of employment to the people. We can further classify into primary and secondary, if they whether they supply the raw material or whether they produce the goods. Then second is Center for Trade and Commerce. These centers act as the financial hub of a country or state like Mumbai, Vishakhapatnam, Kochi. All these are center for trade and commerce. Indian cities like Mumbai, Vishakhapatnam, Cochin emerged as financial hubs. Due to maritime links, they established and thereby setting a new trade routes. These are the centers for the financial hubs. Third type of cities is capital and administrative centers like These are the focal point of power and politics. Such cities might also perform commercial and production function. However, the administrative functions supersede any other rule, like Delhi, Kolkata, Gandhinagar. All these are capital and administrative centers. Health and recreational centers. These are known for their scenic beauty and tourist attractions. Without administrative or trade prospect, these cities thrive as a prominent urban centers for their ability to attract tourists and thereby flow of goods and money. Health and recreational activities like Ooty, Nainital, Bhimtal, all these are health and recreational centers. A religious, then comes the sixth one is the religious and the cultural center. India has a rich cultural and religious heritage. Various cities have developed into modern cities due to virtue of their strong cultural and religious ties. Cities like Amritsar, Kashi, all these are religious and cultural centers. These are these modern cities. There is a strong religious and cultural ties. Then diversified cities. No city can be strictly confined to any particular role. The diversified cities function multiple and often overlapping roles. These are known as diversified cities. Functions of the cities. Cities as a central place. It is a focal point of trade, communication, networking, culture, transport focus. These cities are the gateways for distribution of goods and cargo. Due to virtue of their locations and transport link, these cities also develop auxiliary services such as warehouse, sophisticated logistics, value addition, repacking, etc. Cities as concentration point for specialized services are performed by cities by virtue of their local resources or strategic location. They are conducive to development of specialized industries or services that depends on the resources of these cities. Cities and global reform. A city change from and within outside. Both internal and external forces act on it, morphing it continuously. The 18th century revolution ushered in unparalleled urbanization all over the world. The emergence of new factories created a higher demand for the wage laborer. So the agrarian society shifted away from farms to the cities, owing to the newfound prospects of city income and job. The population or the pollution caused by the factories and the lack of the sound administrative measure for waste disposal added to the plight of the city. And because of the influx of the population, the city spiked, leading to the unsanitary living conditions. New governance, financial, and consumptive arrangements were adopted by the Indian cities, particularly to the internalization of the financial sectors. Deregulation. The local government, the Indian government, made the legislative and administrative measure to ensure ease of doing business for the international corporations. Deregulation of license for setting up the business, and this helped in the development of the Indian cities. So today we discussed about the urbanization, urbanism, acculturation, factors responsible for the urbanization, and we discussed about the cities, the various zone, the various models of the development of structural development of the cities. Then we discussed about the types of the cities, we discussed about the functions of the cities. That's all for today. In our next lecture, we'll start with a new topic. Thank you very much. Namaskar.